My name's Elizabeth Baker and I'm the Deputy Convener of the Risk Management Practice Committee. We also know that as the RMPC, and I'm a Director Advisory at EY.
My name is Peter Yeates. I'm a member of the RMPC, Chair of the Risk Management Education Faculty and the Cyber Insurance Working Group. So Liz, what's been going on across the industry this year?
It's been a very busy year. Our financial institutions are currently facing a wide range of challenges, including governance, structure, operational matters, enterprise-wide risk and control framework challenges, providing a forward-looking view of risks, especially non-financial risks, organisational culture is a big one, and data management and analysis. The Financial Services Royal Commission, the RC, has been dominating the news in recent weeks, well, for most of the year. It's covered many themes including regulation, governance, compliance, culture, and customer outcomes that didn't meet community expectations in areas such as fees, product value for customers, and insurance claims. Incidentally, the podcast featuring Estelle Pearson and Tony Coleman talking about their experiences with the previous Royal Commission, the HIH Royal Commission, is also well worth a listen. And following the AUSTRAC work on anti-money laundering related issues identified at CBA, APRA released their final report in April in relation to the governance, culture and accountability at CBA. This report highlighted risk culture, the management of non-financial risks, and the challenges around managing some of these things end-to-end across many systems and stakeholders. And the report's findings have become a guide for many boards running our financial institutions. In May, the government agreed to the Open Banking Review recommendations, with a consumer data right coming into force in mid-2019. The idea is that these changes will help encourage innovation, new fintech, and generally encourage competition. These goals look even more challenging than the scope of the August report by the Productivity Commission. This has some stronger recommendations intended to shake up the operation and oversight of the payment system, including card interchange and access to the new payments platform.
The commencement in February of the notifiable data breaches regime brings increased scrutiny to the data breach side of cyber risk, the need for managing responses to breaches in a robust way, and in particular the external communication process. There's also a growing awareness that when it comes to cyber risk, we're not just talking about data breaches. For example, the interruption of business. This awareness is driving a broader engagement with both insurers and their insureds about the coverage which is provided. In a recent ransomware attack, NotPetya, losses due to conventional insurance policies being triggered by an underlying cyber peril made up most of the insured losses. Within the committee, in terms of leadership, we've been fortunate to have Susan Louie step into Brett Riley's shoes as convener. And of course, you've joined us as deputy. On the education side, we've renewed our Chartered Enterprise Risk Actuaries accreditation, also known as CERA, so that actuaries coming through the education process have a pathway to becoming CERAs at the end. And this continues to be very popular with more than 400 CERA members of the Institute. We've supported the Asian Risk Conference and a number of insight sessions, including a Young Actuary session and another podcast worth checking out with Susan and Gavin Pearce on the pathway to becoming a Chief Risk Officer, a CRO. And you've been busy looking at ISAP 5 and ISAP 6. And Susan has been involved in drafting the info note on the Actuarial Advice Framework, CPS 230. In 2019?
Another busy year. The Financial Services Royal Commission is scheduled to release its final report in February 2019. And based on what we've seen in the Royal Commission hearings this year, there's potential for some far-reaching recommendations that will significantly impact upon the operation and management of our financial services institutions. And also, if a significant number of the Productivity Commission's recommendations are taken up, then we can expect to see a lot more changes across the financial services sector, especially in payments. Payments are also likely to be affected by the take-up of the new payments platforms. And Peter, with your cyber hat on, what could we see in 2019?
Well, when the banking consumer data standards come in, mid-2019, expect to see more discussion about what data is being shared, who it's being shared with, and concerns over privacy, echoing the conversations we've had around My Health Record. Some of this new standard is formalising existing business models For example, Pocketbook, where users provide banking details in exchange for access to budgeting and expense management app. But what we're likely to see is the extent of the ecosystem and third parties who are involved with the data is going to be much, much greater. So in risk terms, there'll be the usual combination of big opportunities, but also risk there. And really, we'll expect to see a much more complicated landscape. And in 2019, from a committee point of view, the Cyber Insurance Working Group is broadening its remit. So this reports to the Risk Management Practice Committee, the GI Practice Committee, and is historically focused on cyber insurance. We're broadening our remit to include cyber risk, with an aim to both inform actuaries and highlight what actuaries can bring to the table in terms of understanding and managing these cyber risks. The rollout of the new Part 3 education process continues. The Risk Management Education faculty is working to make sure that actuaries are getting a good exposure to ERM principles within the new structure. And if people are interested in more CPD information?
Oh, we've got lots of sources of CPD. So we'll be having insight sessions, we've got Young Actuaries program, there's many things on cyber risk, there's the podcast we talked about featuring Estelle Pearson and Tony Coleman on HIH. We've got the Road to the CRO for Susan, Louis and Gavin. We'll be seeing some things from the Actuaries Institute on the Royal Commission. We've got our own RMPC microsite and we've got our CERA page.
So how can members get involved?
We'd love to see you writing articles around risk, either by yourself or in collaboration with a Risk Management Practice Committee member. We'd like you to join a working group. There'll be a number of vacancies in a number of working groups advertised in the coming few months.
Why should they get involved?
There's lots going on in the risk management space. If you're interested in risk, there's no better way to expand your horizons than working with others from different backgrounds and from different organisations.
So a big thank you to the Practice Committee members, especially Susan and Danielle.
And we'd like to thank you for joining us today.